歡迎你哋返嚟睇美芬會客室，我係立法會議員梁美芬。Welcome all friends to come to my web program. Today we have our prestigious guest, Sir Akers-Jones. We just discussed the historical development and how Sir Jones saw the issues on this small house policy, as well as the current unlawful building works. That is an issue, and current issue that we have to face for the current government and also for the next government. So, Sir Jones, how do you see? There are different opinions. Of course, our government also is adopting a cut-off policy. Like now, they are taking more stringent measures to tear off the unlawful building works. They invite the villagers to register and then to classify different levels of hazardous structures. Would it be a good way now to solve this matter? Or should we still wait for a little while? Or should we leave it to the court as just leave it to the court when people have disputes? They claim they might have different kind of title deeds. Or should we learn from some model? Like I think the colonial government always like to use a committee to settle this kind of sensitive political issue. What do you feel?
Well, I think the question of, as I said to you, there are two problems here. One is ding up, one is the unlawful structures. So I think we should separate these two problems. The problems of unlawful structures, the government has already said that they will deal with the dangerous ones first. But in order to deal with that, they've got to have some sort of record of what is there and who built it and who owns the house. So that must, a lot of the houses now aren't owned by villagers, they're owned by other people. And they're sold off a flat at a time. Someone buys the first floor and someone buys the second floor and someone buys the third floor and puts things on the roof. So we've got to have all that detail down before we can deal with it. But they will deal with the hazardous ones, the dangerous ones first. But they've want to know what's there to begin with and who owns it. Then they will deal with it. So that's why registration is necessary. Sounds very official, but actually it's got a practical purpose. And once you've got the facts down, as Dung's helping, seek truth from facts. So let's get the facts down.
Feeling the stones.
Feeling the stones, and that's the way to deal with it. And I hope, the village people and the people in the new territories who own those houses will respect the law in that respect.
Yeah, of course, I think there shall not be any disputes in terms of hazardous structures. How about those who might affect the whole house to be torn down? If they need to torn down the fifth floor or fourth floor, then they might need to tear down the whole house.
I don't think. Well, that situation hasn't cropped up yet.
There's some claim.
Well, obviously people will always raise these extreme cases just to challenge you. But the thing is now to get on with the job quietly and deliberately to clear up some of the mess.
Do you think for non-hazardous structures, a fine or premium would also be an alternative for this to consider?
Maybe you'll have to get an official, an architect, a professional person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are things like that that I'm sure the government will look at.
Yeah. Different solutions.
Different solutions, but the first of all is to find out what's there.
Yeah.
And that's why the registration, although it sounds very official and bureaucratic, has a real practical purpose. And I'm sure that people who follow the rules and register, then obviously the government will be more sympathetic towards people who do that.
the actual situation.
Helping to solve the problem.
Yeah. In fact, last time when I met CY with our 3 other members of the professional forum at the Legislative Council, I proposed to him that he could consider to form a committee composed of different professionals who really know this kind of issue, and then classify different kind of problems. Some must be torn down immediately, some whether it might be possible to consider a fine. A fine means not ordinary premium. It carries certain kind of penalty. And then some, maybe you really need to look at it into individual cases. So Hong Kong people trust professionals. So we might need a large group with broad representation of all these related professionals to settle the issue. Then he has some more time. For the immediate hazardous structure, you have no choice, torn down, because for the person's own sake,
yeah, but there are very few,
in fact, yeah. And then he buys some time through the committee.
They're quite well built.
Yeah, of course. They won't build dangerous structure for themselves. No. I don't think so. Yeah, life issue. What do you feel? If a committee, then they can buy some time, and so the bomb can, make the political bomb smaller size.
It may help. Something like that might help.
Yeah, let the professional make the decisions or suggestions and things
obviously
like that.
The government must listen to what the people are saying. And what is fair and what is not fair. And equitable.
Yeah. That is what I learned from the colonial government.
But then the Ding Oak problem is a separate,
different issue.
Entirely separate. Related but separate.
Yeah, related. I truly think the small house policy, in fact, is more difficult because they have the basic law and things like that.
The small house policy was an administrative policy.
Yeah.
It's not part of the lease of the new territories.
Right.
It says nothing about small houses. It's one of the administrative policies of the Hong Kong government.
Yeah.
And it's up to the Hong Kong government to
determine.
And if it has to come to an end, like many other administrative policies, it has to come to an end.
Would it be considerable to build some kind of estate, tall buildings, then accommodate all this there, all around, and then put in with a deadline, with enough notice?
There may be 10,000 applications waiting. So probably with a lot of money you could solve the problem, buy out all the
claims,
yes.
But Hong Kong people may not allow that either if you pay cash, or compensation, not cash. So it's a big policy to discuss.
Yes, it's a big policy.
Yeah, the Legislative Council.
And it probably needs some sort of commission to look at Ding Oak separately from unauthorized structures.
Yeah, maybe if we really need to handle this, in fact, earlier, better, because you inform those babies to be born, the future generation, we don't give them a legitimate expectation. So you have to give them a reasonable time to expect the change of policy. That also needs some time to deal with that.
It needs some generosity too.
Yeah.
Generosity of spirit.
Because both ways.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
And it needs generosity of mind and spirit to solve it, really.
Yeah, because this kind of policy will generate,
it's no use.
They say I have the legitimate expectation waiting.
Yeah. People are using these policies as a stick to beat the government.
Yeah.
That's not the way to go about it. It's a human policy, a human problem, and we must look at it in a human way and find a humane way, a generous way of dealing with it.
I think definitely it is a big issue. for us to discuss if it comes to the agenda at the Legislative Council. But with Sir Jones' experience, we really need input from this political wisdom. And in terms of this, I think in the next session, I would like to share with to hear from Sir Jones how he sees the future government, and in fact he does have his own view on how to compare the former government and the present government, and then the next government.
Well, let's go straight on.
Okay.
Go straight on now.
Okay. Yeah. Let us go straight on.
Yes.
So, Sir Jones, you support CY, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why you supported him?
I support my friends.
You support your friend, yeah.
He's been my friend for years.
I see, I see.
So of course I support him.
So you already saw him to be a CE for some time in Hong Kong.
Well, I never thought of him as being a CE, but I mean, I was watching him grow and develop and take up a more important position. And, one country, two systems, executive council, senior member of executive council, and so on. So
and you work together quite often,
I've known him for a long time.
Yes. Especially throughout the drafting of the basic law.
That as well, yes.
Yes. Wow. So I think CY was lucky to get the support of Sir Jones.
No, not lucky. You support your friends. He was my friend. I support my friend.
That is also real politics coming from filling the stones.
That's right.
That is also another aspect to look at it. Yeah. So what is your advice given to him? Subject to, now we have this very difficult, I think more difficult culture in the Legislative Council, like filibustering. We have different kind of new things, new phenomenon in Hong Kong. What is your advice?
Well, look now, the recent polls put the percentage of people supporting him is, I think it was 56.
Yeah.
Now it's lower, it's 46 because of all this filibustering stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still 46.
He's raising. His poll is rising.
That's several million people support him.
Yeah.
And they don't support anyone else.
Yeah.
With such great strength. So it's the support of the people.
Yeah.
And what the people want the legislators to do. And they've spoken out very loudly.
Yeah. How do you see the Legislative Council nowadays?
They want CY to be able to get on with governing. With
good governance.
And leading Hong Kong. Leading in his approach to the housing policy. And we've already seen, I think, the government now is responding to this pressure from the general public. And there are things now which have got to be done, which should have been done years ago. And catching up is going to be very difficult.
I personally go to districts quite often as a directly elected legislator.
So does CY.
Yeah.
So does CY go to the districts.
He has, and he also visited our areas. My feeling from the ordinary people is that they are very, very upset with this filibustering tactic. I think at least it must be more than 50%. It will be more, because when we do this kind of informal consultation with all different groups, people are very upset. I think Hong Kong people are very practical. You can have different views, but you don't use this tactic to block the normal operation, like, all the time schedule will be delayed, important issues may not be discussed. I think the public is not in favor of this kind of delaying tactics.
Well, one of the things that are being delayed, of course, is putting the fact of housing and land and planning together under one administrator, so that they can make decisions quickly.
Yeah, focus.
Between land, housing, land, planning the housing, building the housing.
Yeah.
Put them all together. and make them get on with it. Not have them land over here, planning over there, housing over there, somewhere else. 3 groups all working together under one secretary. That's the way to do it. And that's being stopped. That change in the administration is being stopped by what is happening at the moment.
Yes.
When people are sick of this.
Yeah, that's true.
What if they? What did MacLehose say over 30 years ago? The shortage of housing is the serious source of unhappiness in Hong Kong.
Of course.
And thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are unhappy because of bad housing. Several million people are unhappy because of bad housing. There are a lot of people who are quite happy. I'm all right, Jack. But there are a lot of people in Sam Sui Po, in Kowloon City, Dai Kok Choi, and to some extent in places like Chung Wan, who are unhappy, very unhappy, and putting up with life, having to put up with very serious lack of housing, proper housing.
Yeah. 中國人衣食住行 housing, very important for everyone. So you also, as a former, actually you were the acting governor for a while. What difficulty would you see if we, Legislative Council, still delay issues like that? You also agree that it would cause big obstacle to the new government to adopt their new policy. Do you also?
Well, maybe the Legislative Council itself has got to be fed up with the way things are going, and Legislative Council has to bring in new rules among the 70 of them. They've got to bring up some new rules to govern the conduct,
the standing order,
the standing order, the conduct of business in Legislative Council, so that it can proceed more smoothly, not undemocratic. But there's a limit to the responsibility, even your responsibility as a legislator, even in democracies.
Yes. Yes, of course. Feeling the stones when things happen.
That's right.
Then we need to make the necessary adjustment
to
the rule of game.
Make adjustments to your standing orders so that we can govern quietly and peacefully.
In fact, I'm also one of the key advocates of adjusting the standing order. When new situation arise, of course, before that we don't have this kind of situations. We might not need to look at it at all. But one filibustering and not coming to another one, coming to another, we really cannot make decisions. Under the present rule, one legislator can suggest or can move in more than 10,000 amendments, and the rule doesn't have any limit on that.
Well, that's why you yourselves have got to agree together. We must change this.
The rule.
Not to be undemocratic. But to
reasonable.
Yes, that's right.
I think reasonable. The public eye also has the standard of reasonableness.
Yes.
How to enhance sufficient discussion and give space to everyone to express, because we must have enough time to express. But what is the reasonable standard to say all this? I think we should agree on some reasonable rule. But it is not easy.
Sticking to the point. I mean, that's a favourite expression. Would you mind sticking to the point? And if you're in a court of law, as you know,
relevant.
It has to be relevant to the subject under discussion. And so it should be in Legislative Council. Are you sticking to the point? If not, would you please sit down? That's democracy.
not frivolous, not meaningless, not wasting time.
That's right.
But stick to the point or relevant discussion.
That's right.
I think our president of the Legislative Council, he also
I'm sure he agrees.
got
no,
some
no
experience.
one can disagree with that.
Yeah, but you know, it's like your book. The legislators are also feeling the stones because there's something new, and then how to handle it for the first time. When it comes for the second time, maybe the way to handle it is a little bit better. I also make my good wishes to the new government. In fact, I also support CY. When we make the choice, we did have enough public opinion that support CY because everyone expects to have some change.
Let's now make that point again, that we support CY and we want him to get on with the job.
Yeah.
And let's not stop him from getting on with the job.
Yeah.
Any longer. Let's let him get on with it.
Not any unnecessary obstacle, and he cannot even move on the first step. I think some.
And as for the changes in the structure of the government, the structure of the civil service, who does what, I have no disagreement with anything that he is doing to restructure the government so that it works more efficiently to address the problems of the common people.
Yeah.
We must always have that in mind, the Lao Bai Sing, the 100 surnames. That's what we should think about. To address their problems, their health problems, their housing problems, their welfare problems, family problems, all these problems, so many problems out there. Let him get on with it.
I think let us join hands. The Hong Kong needs a change, and we need to have enough discussion for changes, but we also need to allow enough space for the new government to implement what they would like to carry out. So today, I'm very, very honored, and thank you so much for Sir Jones' precious time to share with us your experience to deal with this new territories issue and about our present and future government. Thank you, Sir Jones. Thank you very much.
It's been great fun talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much wisdom. Very smart. Which year? Which year?
Oh dear, I've got hair there, you see.
It is 1980s.
Not that.
I think this is 1980s.
I think so.